Hello, everybody, and welcome to From the Sidelines, a show where we talk about all things NFL. We are currently live from Sports Fluent YouTube, X, and Facebook page, and we'll be streaming every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I am your host, Monique. I am from Toronto, Canada, and my two favorite sports are MMA and obviously football. So I'm going to go over to my right, and you can introduce yourself next.
Okay, my name's Cody. I am from Southern California, but living in Utah now. Two favorite sports are football and baseball, both college and professional football. Sorry.
All right, that's me next. I'm Jackson. I'm currently in Boston, Massachusetts, but I'm North Carolina born and bred. And my two favorite sports are football and basketball.
Okay, next on the bottom left.
Yo, my name is Mr. Tulocks. My favorite two sports is football and boxing, and I am currently in the New Jersey/New York area.
Okay, and last but not least.
Hey, my name is CJ. I'm originally born in Washington, D.C., but currently live in the Carolinas now. Favorite sport is obviously football. I would say football times two, football and football, So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys for introducing yourselves. Those are my co-hosts. Meet your co-hosts right now. And what's next on the show is exactly what I just said, and the GOAT debate. So let's get started off with the icebreaker topic. What has been the most shocking NFL offseason move so far? So I'm going to go to my right again, and then we'll go in clockwise motion, and then I'll say what I want to say about this topic. So, Cody, you're up first.
Okay. I guess just kind of be prisoner of the moment a little bit. And yesterday's move with Deebo Samuel to the Commanders. Yeah, I mean, not super shocking. I know that he demanded a trade, so I knew he was going to get a trade eventually, but it was quicker than I thought it would be. But I like both sides. Commanders get a good number 2 wide receiver. Niners lose that get that cap space. They lose his contract off of there and kind of move on in a different direction from Deebo. It's kind of been back and forth for a while now, but I would say that's the biggest move I've seen so far of the offseason. Has been a little quiet so far. Obviously, still very early. Just hit the combine and Super Bowl was only 2 weeks ago.
Okay, Jackson, what do you think is the most shocking move of the offseason?
Absolutely. I'm going to echo that it's been a quiet offseason so far. It's so early. The Super Bowl was so recent. So not a move, but I was a little bit shocked by the Myles Garrett announcement of requesting the trade. I think that the loyalty that he's shown just to the city and to the team doesn't really align with the fact that, he's now out. They've always been bad. Obviously they're in a bit more of a purgatory with what they did to themselves with the Deshaun Watson trade. But his asking out is very interesting. And later on in the show, I'll talk about some of the rumors surrounding him, and then some other athletes that are being seen in some cities that maybe they don't have any allegiance to at the moment, but could in the future.
Okay, Jackson kind of echoed something that I want to bring up in a later topic, but we'll talk about that then. Mr. Tulocks, what do you think about this topic?
Yeah. So I don't think none of us are shocked by the Cooper Kupp trade news, but I'm interested to see where he's going to go. Because he has been a top 3 receiver, like the last 2 years or so, maybe top 5. But I'm just interested to see where he goes. I guess we'll go into further takes later in the show, but I think where he goes will be interesting.
Okay, and last but not least, CJ, what do you think about this topic?
I would probably say I'm going to take it back a little bit to where Gerard Mayo got fired from the New England Patriots after 1 year with the organization, after being the hand-picked successor to Bill Belichick. And maybe Bill Belichick going back to college too, kind of like a 2-for-1 right there in this offseason. Just really surprised that they decided to give up on him. Obviously, Mike Vrabel is a very good coach with a lot of experience, and it was probably we had to move at it. But still, I just didn't love the move, but I understand it.
Okay, CJ, you kind of brought up a topic that relates to what my answer is. So I don't know about you guys, but with the New England Patriots, which is also my team, you can boo me, I understand. But
I won't boo you.
No, I just think that the Patriots not pursuing T. Higgins is my move of the night when it comes to something shocking, because I think Mike Vrabel said that he wanted to pick up the O line and the D line, which I understand, but at the same time, T Higgins is quite a hot commodity right now. So that's where I'm at. And anybody have any last comments that they want to make about any of the topics that were brought up?
Is that a thing that they're not pursuing T Higgins, or because I thought that the Bengals were just going to tag him, so it might
Yeah,
not be an option.
yeah, that's what I read recently. So that maybe I trust the source, so that's why. Okay. So anybody else have any comments before we move on?
Yeah, I'll comment on the T. Higgins thing. I just think right now the Bengals are in a bit of la land, thinking that they're able to re-sign everybody, where they've been the most impoverished franchise in the NFL for last years, and having to sell your team, the naming rights for your stadium, in order to sell Joe Burrow. I wonder how many more things they are trying to sell to be able to sign Chase to a $40 million deal because he's not taking a discount, and Trey
That's
Hendrickson.
a fact. That's a fact.
Yep.
That's a fact.
Okay, guys, we're going to move on to the next segment, which is what will happen next. So this has a lot of subtopics, so we're going to go at it one at a time. The first one is, are there any big trades that are going to be happening? So I'm going to start with Cody again, and we'll mix it up as the show goes on, but let's go with this round right now, going clockwise.
Okay. So yeah, I mean Myles Garrett, like CJ mentioned, I think Myles, or I think it was Mr. Tulox mentioned, Myles Garrett, I think that's the big domino. I think if he gets traded, a lot of other moves will happen, but what's the market for him? Who's out there? I keep hearing the Eagles. That would be like a nightmare scenario, I think, for the entire NFL if he ends up on the Eagles. So yeah, I think that would be the next trade because he really doesn't want to be there. I know obviously the Browns don't want to trade him, but he does not want to be there at all. So I think eventually they're going to have to trade him. So I think that's probably the next big move that we could see. And then some of the other dominoes fall after that.
Okay, Jackson, what do you think? Any big trades happening?
Obviously, I agree that Myles Garrett could, really cause a falling out across the NFL with a lot of moves. But T. Higgins brought up earlier is going to be part of my discussion because I'm a Carolina Panther through and through. You guys can, give me your condolences if you'd wish. Maybe send some flowers my way. But, we've been in conversations with signing for either T. Higgins or a big interest of ours has been Garrett Wilson, who is notably unhappy in New York. Obviously, with the QB turmoil in New York, there's a lot of understandably like some frustration with the receivers wanting to get out. I imagine Devontae probably won't want to stick around either now that Rodgers is gone.
Okay, Mr. Tulox, any big trades happening?
Yeah, I'm gonna take it back to Myles Garrett here. A team that I would like. Everybody's floating the Eagles and Bills and stuff like that, but I think an underrated team would be Seattle Seahawks. They need someone to kind of anchor the defense. Someone who can lead the defense. I think Seattle's a team that could, get some momentum going into next year. They had a okay year last year, and I just think they could take steps further if they just improve the defense. The offense is coming along. Geno Smith, I think, was second in passing yards last year behind Joe Burrow. So I'm not saying he's the best, but he can get it to his receivers and DK and Jackson, and if they could get the defense to come along, I think they can make some noise in the NFC.
Okay, CJ, any big trades happening?
Yeah, actually, I was just jotting down a couple of different ideas that I had, but I want to have one that's kind of off of the, forbidden path that we're on right now. How about a Brandon Ayuk trade to the Steelers that was destined to be before? Now that, the 49ers are trying to clear as much cap space to empty the bank for Mr. Brock Purdy. I think that would be be fun, interesting, and a little controversial. So I like it.
Okay, so my pick for any big trades is something that none of you guys mentioned, but I agree with everything that you all said. My big trade that I think is going to happen is the quarterback from the LA Rams, Matthew Stafford. I honestly think that he wants that raise happening, but he's 37 and they're honestly just looking at the younger core of the team. So that's kind of like where I'm at. Anybody have any comments about anything I've said or anybody else has said?
I believe Matthew Stafford just re-signed a new deal. So
Yeah,
the numbers haven't came out for it exactly.
Okay,
I don't think I've seen the numbers, but he's satisfied for the time being. I mean, it was really nice. It would have been great to see Matthew. I think I wanted chaos. I wanted a reverse trade of Matt Stafford back to Detroit to help them for their Super Bowl run. That would be just like perfect chaos for me. Obviously, Sean McVay would have vetoed that because he does not like Jared Goff whatsoever.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else from anybody before we move on to the next subtopic? Nope, we're good, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next subtopic that we're going to talk about in this segment is which star player is most likely to be dealt with before the season. So I think we all kind of talked about it a little bit in the previous topics. You guys can say exactly what you just said, or you can bring up someone new. So this time I'm going to start with CJ. CJ, who do you think is going to be dealt with before the season starts?
Okay. How about let's stick at the wide receiver room? All right, I think these wide receivers are trying to get money, maybe a little mouthy, a little too flashy for some owners, and they just want to, whatever you want to say. DK Metcalf getting traded from the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I heard.
I like it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, the rumor right now is to go to Green Bay, which, I mean, obviously a lot of it was like not even rumors. It was who's the running back? I'm tripping. Josh Jacobs was talking trash. I guess you could say, but he's not wrong. There's no true number one receiver in the Green Bay, which I agree.
Yep.
I mean, Romeo Dubes, I think, has been kind of being that guy, but then he was not getting targeted like that guy. So I can see that can be a 1-for-1 trade, maybe a pick swap there. But me personally, I think it's a terrible trade because DK Metcalf is not very good. And he's not playing like a 6'4", 225 receiver. He plays too small. He plays like he's like 5'10", 190. And I think that's his problem. If he can learn how to play like AJ Brown, he would be dominant. He would be like top 5 in the league, but he's not playing like that. And I think that's why you're starting to see him regress a little bit.
Okay, Mr. Tulad.
Well, just to say, I would like to see DK on Green Bay. I think that would be a very good help for Green Bay. Christian Watson is hurt. Romeo Doubs, like I said, not getting targets. And you got Jaden Reed on the other side. So, but anyway, so this player is not currently on the team. At least I don't think so. But it's going to be interesting to see where old man Aaron Rodgers ends up. Maybe the Giants. I don't know where he going to go. I just don't see a place for him. I just don't see a team that should risk 1 year for this guy. Maybe y'all got some ideas for teams, but I'm stumped, man. I don't know where he should go. What's up, CJ?
I honestly think that Aaron Rodgers should get exactly what happened to him in Green Bay. He should go to like a Tennessee, a Raiders team, and then they also should draft Shador or Cam or not Will Howard. Those
Especially not
guys.
after today. Or
Nah.
I'm a big Kyle McCord fan. Like I'm high on him right now. I've been high on him. But like again, like a guy that you like, can we develop him, right? Can we give like them time? Because then you don't want to put all of this on their plate. So then you can. I mean, even if you go Tennessee, you could also go, Aaron Rodgers and Will Levis, and maybe give him another shot. Let him sit back for another year, and then if it's all you just see it's not worth it, get Arch Manning next year. So it's like you got time to be able to really give another year of evaluation, and because you're still far away, like you're not one piece away if you're Tennessee, right? So it's like, you could probably get him for like 10 million, 10, 15 million, and then just build around everything else. So.
But I would just say one thing to that. I mean, if I'm Tennessee, you might not want to pass up on a cultural changer. I mean, Cam Ward might change the culture. Shador might change the culture. You see what happened with C.J. Stroud? He changed the team from 0 to 100. You see what happened with Jaden Daniels?
For sure.
Two number 2 picks. So, I mean, you don't want to pass up on a franchise changer if they're there. That's all I'm going to say. But go ahead.
Okay, back to now Jackson. Any players going to be dealt with before the season starts?
Yeah, the DK was taken straight from me. That's where I was going with it. I've seen the rumors that he would be traded to Green Bay for. I'm looking at it now, the number 23 overall pick, which just wouldn't make sense. I don't think that's an equal value trade.
Oh yeah.
And then of course, like people are saying that there needs to be another receiver in the mix, and I think they're getting quite outlandish. I don't think a trade like that goes through. DK might really realize his true value when he gets dealt for a lot less. But of course, that only favors him. If a team gives up very little to get him, then he's in a better situation anyway. And this is someone who tends to voice their opinion as to the location that they're put in. So maybe he can be satisfied by getting traded for less if he's put in an admirable situation. But I could see the Seahawks sending him to a team that's kind of in that purgatory that's not making progress.
And last but not least, Cody before me.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to Aaron Rodgers. I don't know about him so I think on the Titans or the Giants, but I actually like him on the Steelers. And I would wonder if Devontae Adams and him are still a package deal. Could they make a trade to get Devontae Adams, pair him with Pickens? I think that could be pretty lethal with those two guys. Aaron Rodgers, I think, is an upgrade over Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, even at this stage in his career. So I think that could be spicy. They got to do something. They just get to the playoffs and get hammered every year, so they got to do something to change. So maybe that'll take them a little bit further. I don't see that Super Bowl team with those guys, but a little bit further maybe.
Okay, so my pick in this, and I want to get your opinion on all this, guys, is what do you think about quarterback Sam Darnold and him getting traded? What do you guys think? Any comments?
He's a free agent.
Yeah,
so, but Sam Darnold's on my list to talk about, but I kept flirting with it, and I think that's what teams are like right now. Yeah. They're flirting with him, but I don't think they're ready to commit to him necessarily because he has such a great year. Right. But then it's like, is this Blake Bortles? Are we going to get Blake Bortles again? Are we going to get fooled into what we saw last year with a great coach? Kevin O'Connell, is an elite offensive play caller, and he's made any quarterback look good. So I think that's what I think they're just going to roll with J.J. McCarthy and try to make him look good.
Right.
But do you want to pay $40 million, $35 million to a guy who don't get me wrong, he's still young.
Hell no, man.
But he has to be in the right situation. When you're throwing to a Jay Jettis, when you're throwing to Jordan Addison, Hawkinson, I'm not saying anyone can look good, but most people can look pretty good if you're competent enough to know what you're doing.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins looked good for 3 years doing that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even the other guy, the bald head guy, was good for a few. What was his name?
Josh
Dobbs. Yes.
Yeah.
Even he looked good for like a few months. So
yeah.
I've got Darnold.
Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
I've got Darnold on my talking points for much later on, but I think there could be a surprise move by an organization that is known to really mess up the quarterback position, and that is his former team in the Jets. There is obviously no trust in Jordan Travis, who they drafted last year, who came from Florida State. They're moving on from Aaron Rodgers. Their quarterback room is rather empty. There's not been enough discussion about where they want to go in the draft or what free agent they take. Obviously, the coaching staffs are different. Darnold's been all over the league since he started at the Jets. And so maybe it's a homecoming where he gets a second chance in that city that, that drafted him so high in the first place. And he provides the same safety that he provided the Vikings, right? He was just there as they drafted McCarthy to ease the transition. Maybe he goes and he plays ahead of Jordan Travis and they give him a chance later on and it works out. Or he plays ball and he plays really well, or the Jets do what they do. And it's a horrific quarterback situation for another year.
You think Darnold would take that? Go back to, I don't know. I just don't see him going back to the Jets.
I think Darnold takes advantage of the year he just had and grabs the biggest paycheck possible, regardless of the situation, because I think that we are talking about a Blake Bortles situation. I think that he knows that, unless he gets asked to join a team that is in a very good spot, which every team in a good spot already has a good quarterback, he's probably going to need to cash out on this great year, get a long-ish deal. So he's getting money over time.
A lot of guaranteed.
Right.
Yep. Get that guaranteed money and, just try not to mess it up. Maybe just have a good year before his contract's up.
Right.
Okay. So the reason, go ahead.
Oh, two things. If both about Sam Darnold and Aaron Rodgers. So first, if Sam Darnold goes back to the Jets, he just makes sure he needs to call the Ghostbuster so he can expel that for him. Two, I think, Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers, it makes a lot of sense, but the issue with the Steelers is they're a very cheap organization. Mike Tomlin wants to get them old and cheap, and that's kind of been their philosophy, to better or for worse lately. But I mean, right now, I think if you were to trade for Devontae Adams, that's a $36 million cap hit.
Yeah.
Steelers are not taking on that. And I don't think they even have the money to take on that. So they will have to hope that no one else wants to take on that cap hit. I mean, Devontae Adams in New England will be fun for Drake May, right? But they have the cap space, the money to do that.
Yeah.
Or to Chicago, who, is losing Keenan Allen, so they can get switched, boom, 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 switch it out. Unless they want to really go all in on Roman Dunze and DJ Moore.
Maybe,
That's a two good formidable pair right there. But yeah, Steelers is just my only issue with the Steelers is just they're so cheap. And so that's why they're going to go with either the Russ or the Justin Fields option, where they know they can get them for cheap, which has been holding that franchise back. And Mike Tomlin's just been out coaching his terrible squad instead of actually paying and getting their cap deal right. So
right. Yeah, I kind of agree with that too a little bit. I mean, although I think Aaron Rodgers, could be cheap. I don't know what his market's going to be, so I think he could be cheap for a year or two. But yeah, the Devontae Adams trade was maybe a little more pie in the sky. Maybe the Jets take a little bit of that contract. I think that's really the only way it would get done.
Yeah, agree.
Okay, any more comments before we move on to the next topic? The reason why I brought up Sam Darnold is I know that a lot of teams are desperate for the QB, and basically the draft doesn't really have much QBs in there that are quite valuable. So anyways, we are going to move on to the next topic, which is a subtopic about teams that need to make a move. And I know we're all going to probably just repeat ourselves in a way, but I'm going to go with Mr. Two Locks. Who do you think in terms of teams needs to make a move?
I'm going to go back to the well here. I'm going to say Seattle again, man. I just think they can have a improved year from last year. The last few years, San Fran has had their number, but I think Seattle has turned the corner here. I don't like Arizona. I hate Arizona, and I don't like the Rams. So I just think this is Seattle's time. If you're gonna make a push, I will push some of their chips to the table here and try to get someone who can just take this team to the next level. Whether that's a Myles Garrett or I don't know, but somebody, I would like to see them catapult to the next level.
Okay, CJ, which team needs to make a move right now?
There's two teams that are on the top of my mind. I think I don't want to give any talking about this other team that I'm not going to say, but the Houston Texans need to make a move to secure another pass catcher for CJ Stroud. That team was loaded to start the year. By the end of the year, they couldn't find no one in sight. And so finding another formidable weapon for CJ Stroud alongside Nico Collins, who's emerged as one of the top premier receivers. And then Tank Dell, unfortunately, back-to-back knee injuries or lower leg injuries, back-to-back years has just been devastating. I wouldn't be mad if they made a move for Devontae Adams. That would be a lot of fun. I know Devontae prefers to be closer to the West Coast because I don't think his family moved from the West Coast and he's just been apart from his family most of the time. So it's closer than New York. And then I think they can build a Taco Bell out there for him as well. And
Taco Bell.
But yeah, I just think, again, we saw the dip in CJ Stroud's season, whether for his offensive line play, which is interior offensive line play, was definitely terrible and abysmal. But I think they're going to be the team that they want to continue to win. Obviously, winning 10 wins back-to-back years is great. And they've been aggressive to continue their winning ways in a very winnable AFC South.
Okay, Jackson, which team needs to make a move?
Absolutely. I've agreed with the points so far. And I'm going to say that the Dallas Cowboys need to make a move.
That was the team I wasn't going to say. Yep. I wasn't going to give them any love.
I cannot stand the Cowboys fans, but the Cowboys fans are actually the reason why they need to make a move, right? I was in Dallas recently, and there is no hope in Dallas right now. And those fans are the most hopeful fans on the planet, right? They think every year is their year. So what I'm saying is the Cowboys need to make a move, and I don't think that any move is going to put them, in great contention. I don't think that there's a move out there that really changes their spot enough. But I think if Jerry wants to sell tickets and he wants to get that hope back, they got to make a splash in the offseason. so that those fans buy back in, sell that merch, get those tickets, and at least do business, because the Cowboys, I don't think, can make a big enough move to really change their contention.
Okay, and Cody, what do you think in terms of teams? Who needs to make a move?
I'm going with a team with a little off the radar. I'm going with the Chargers. I feel like
Yes,
Chargers.
they do. Yes, they do.
They were close this year, but I mean, really, all you have is McConkey as your main weapon. Get another weapon for Justin Herbert. Maybe get some running back help. I think they're like 5th in cap space, so they have a lot of money to spend this year. And I know we've probably heard this every year, but maybe the Chiefs take a step back next year. Kelsey's getting older. Maybe they take a step back. Maybe there's an opportunity for them to make a run at the Chiefs. But a second year of Harbaugh is always a good thing as well. So I think Chargers get more weapons for Herbert. Maybe look at moving Joey Bosa to get some more cap space, something like that. But I think Chargers could be a team, if they can make a couple of moves, can kind of get themselves potentially in the Super Bowl conversation.
Okay, thank you guys. The team that I'm gonna pick for the one that needs to make a move, it's not a team like the Chargers or the Cowboys that really need it, but honestly, I think the Bills need to make a move on T. Higgins like so fast. Because I think that Josh Allen needs someone that he can rely on as a wide receiver and someone he could depend on. And he's pretty much set to be the best free agent wide receiver of the offseason. So what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with me? Do you not? Let's put on a conversation here.
Someone's got to move on T. Higgins. He's a great weapon, obviously behind Chase as far as targets. And I think that he can really be appreciated somewhere else, and it can be a really amicable partnership. But whoever acts first is going to get a good product. I really don't think that there's a situation, barring all injury, of course, that the T. Higgins move doesn't work out for both parties.
Okay, anybody else has any more comments?
Yeah, I like Cody's team with the Chargers, man. If T. Higgins could somehow get on the Chargers, I would kind of like it if they could. I actually have an interesting story. I saw Justin Herbert to be MVP is like plus 3,000. I'm like, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but hey, what do y'all think about Justin Herbert? Maybe, or he's definitely not getting MVP.
I think there's a good chance for it. Obviously, year 2 under Harbaugh will be great. Yep. If he can get another solidified weapon, and I think even the weapon, like if he gets a running back upgrade, don't get me wrong, J.K. Dobbins has been great for them. Gus Edwards, they took all the unwanted backs from Baltimore. But like imagine them spending on Amarion Hampton in the first round.
Yep.
Or even if not, maybe a Loveland. Obviously, the Michigan ties there, right?
Yeah.
So a weapon that's going to enhance Herbert, which I think is much needed. And Herbert has been good. Like Herbert, it's just been held back by Brandon Staley and his situational football, right? And we've seen the talent shine through. But I feel like he's going to stack it another year. That's really, I think you're going to see his confidence blossom, unlike Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's much better than Trevor Lawrence, but I also think this is the time for him to kind of take that next step. I mean, he's had 2 playoff games, hasn't played well in either one of them.
Yeah.
But I think the Colston Loveland thing is almost destined to happen if he's available for the Chargers. I think Harbaugh is going to jump all over that because the Michigan ties.
He might even trade up.
He may.
The Broncos are a team also that you have to be worried about.
That's true. That's true. Well,
for sure, guys. Okay, we're going to move on to the next subtopic because we have a few more before our next segment. The next topic is obviously what we've been pretty much talking about is the free agency. The first subtopic that we're going to talk about is which big-name free agents are on the move. So not the teams now, it's the free agents we're going to talk about. I'm going to start with Cody. What do you think about this?
I'm gonna go back to Sam Darnold a little bit. I think obviously I don't think he goes back to the Vikings. I think they move on with JJ McCarthy, and then probably have Daniel Jones back him up. I actually kind of like Sam Darnold in Indianapolis for the Colts. I just don't think Anthony Richardson's the answer there. Yeah, I think Anthony Richardson's not the answer there. And obviously you're not going to go with Flacco at this point. I mean,
who says you can't?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like last year he regressed. He was good 2 years ago for Cleveland, but last year he wasn't very great. But they have decent weapons. Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, there's decent weapons there. It's not Jefferson or Addison, but it's something that he can kind of build on. Maybe a 2-year contract, see what happens, give Anthony Richardson a chance, and then they'll probably be back in the draft. But I think that's a decent fit. Shane Steichen's not a bad offensive coordinator, so maybe that can help a little bit as well.
Okay, Jackson, what do you think about this topic?
So this is where Darnold played in, where I had him written in to talk about when we were
sorry.
planning out this podcast. And so, yeah, obviously just kind of following you up, obviously to talk back about what I had already mentioned was that I think that he could have a reunion with his former team, or he could go to New York for, the other team and play for the Giants. I think that what Mr. Tulloch said was pretty important, though, with these culture changers available in the draft. I think that if you're a smart GM and a smart head coach, you have the conversation with the guy you plan on drafting and gauge his maturity for being drafted and part of maybe the Sam Darnold experiment where, they can do exactly what the Vikings did with McCarthy and take a high draft pick quarterback and have Darnold on the roster. However, of course, the Vikings got Darnold for a whole lot cheaper. And so that situation is clearly different. But if you have a quarterback that you're ready to take in the draft who does not show the maturity to play behind Darnold, then you're stuck with a pretty big decision as to, are you set on Darnold, or do you want to take a chance with your rookie quarterback and hope for a CJ Stroud or a Jaden Daniels situation?
Okay, Mr. Tulox, what do you think? Which free agent needs to make a move right now?
Okay, so I'm gonna go to a position we haven't talked about yet, and I understand y'all don't give them no love because nobody gives them no love besides Barkley and McCaffrey and Derrick Henry. So I'm going to say Najee Harris. I want to see where Najee Harris ends up. I know everybody thinks he's booty, he's trash, but in hindsight, he does manage to get 1,000 rush yards year after year after year. So he can be trash if he's getting 1,000 yards every year. I see, I knew it. See, I told you, I knew it was coming. I knew one person was gonna say it. But yeah, I just want to see what team he go to. He's gonna be somebody's RB1. I just don't know where, but I would like to see where he goes.
Okay, and CJ, what about these free agents?
Yeah, quick side note about Najee Harris. I mean, I don't know how far he's going to get with the lead in his feet, the way he's been running the past couple of years.
Right.
But I'm going to go with a trio of free agents from the same team. I think they're going to be on the move due to the fact that this team is ridiculous of just reproducing talent and drafting talent, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's Zach Braun, Josh Sweat, and then
I like Zach Brown,
Williams.
Josh Sweat. Yeah.
I just think that they're going to be in a position to have to let some people go, let these guys go and get their bag. But they got N'Kobe Dean, they got Nolan Smith, they got Jordan Davis. Like they're not going to be really, sweating those moves too much. And I think they're going to allow them to get a bag. And I think Milton is going to command a lot. I see a potential landing spot of possibly the Carolina Panthers for Milton to pair up with Brown. And then Zach Braun, I mean, he can go kind of anywhere he wants to go, to be honest. He's had a stellar year. So, yeah, I think those three are, most likely going to be on the move. And I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to really miss them too much.
Okay, anybody have any comments before I say what I have to say about this topic?
I'm going to add on to the Leadfoot commentary and just say that I think my favorite commentary about Najee Harris is that he runs like he's wearing jeans. And,
yes.
I think that's the best way to describe his run style.
Yes.
It's true.
Okay.
Somehow he does get his 1,000 yards. Oh, one more name I will throw out there before you go, real quick. Hassan Reddick. I just want to see where he ends up to. Go ahead.
He's probably going to wind up back in Philadelphia.
Probably.
Yeah.
So what I have to say is it's funny because I approached this topic saying the opposite. So instead of free agents that need to make a move, it's a free agent that we talked about in Myles Garrett who wants to make a move, but I don't think the Browns should trade him for multiple reasons. I mean, obviously he might be the best edge rusher in the NFL right now. That's number one. Number two, if they trade Garrett, they leave the Browns with at least $36 million in dead money and a loss of $16.5 million in cap space. So we gotta look at all the factors here when we talk about these free agents. Either they go or they don't. I don't think they should trade him, but he wants that. So what do you guys think about what I have to say?
I think they get a haul back for him, though. I think they get a couple first-round picks, maybe even a second. So I think they could get a ton for him. Yeah, that cap hit will hurt, but I think they'll get a ton for him, and it might end up being worth it for them. Especially, I mean, he's not one of those guys that's not going to play hard, so that's probably not going to be an issue. I don't see him holding out, but he's done plenty for them. I think they should honor him and give him a trade.
Okay, so any other comments before we move on to the next subtopic? We have 2 more before we talk about our next segment, and then we're just gonna wrap it up after that.
One last thing about Myles Garrett. I think if you're really desperate to get one of the this might not be this is not hyperbole, but one of the best edge rushers in the history of the NFL and who's still very much in his prime, you take the Deshaun Watson contract with him and you show how serious you are.
Ooh, I don't know about. Ooh, that's tough.
Bro,
It is tough. It's a
yeah.
disgusting contract. It's disgusting. But if you show that how much you really want him, but even though he's willing to renegotiate his own contract, that is Myles Garrett, in order to make the deal work.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think nobody's going to want to take on that Watson contract, brother.
Nobody. Not even the Browns want to.
Yeah.
That's the only stain on Andrew Berry's record as a GM. He's a very good GM, very smart. He has a really good cast of assistant GMs that get interviews every cycle whenever a GM job is open. But getting forced to have to sign a completely guaranteed deal for Deshaun Watson, who just forgot how to play the game of football, is just one of the worst things to ever happen. But it's very Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Saying that's the only stain on his record, though, is like saying that I only spilled one full glass of wine on the bride's wedding dress, man. It is a big stain.
Which is fair.
Yeah. I think he was forced into it, though.
That's
I think the owners
very
really
big
stepped
stain.
in and forced him to
1000%.
make the trade. Yeah.
1000%.
Okay, guys, we're gonna move on to the next subtopic because we gotta make it to this hour. So we're gonna talk about surprise cuts and signings. So the first subtopic is: will any teams make unexpected roster moves before the season starts? So it's very similar to what we've been talking about. So if you guys wanna do the whole I'm gonna repeat myself, that's fine. But if you have something to say, then we're gonna start with Cody this time.
We going teams here or just individual players? It doesn't matter.
Teams.
Okay. I'm going with the Packers. I don't know if that's unexpected, but I think they need to make some moves. I feel like they're kind of just the same team every year, 7th seed, 6th seed. Need to make some moves. They have about 4 good wide receivers, but no great wide receivers. So I really like that Metcalf trade earlier that we talked about in the show. Jair Alexander, he's kind of not the player that he was once for them. Maybe they can still get some value off of him, move off of him a little bit, but I think the Packers should be aggressive, especially because we don't know what the Lions are going to be this year. They lost both their coordinators, so maybe then who knows with Minnesota. So maybe that division's up for grabs. So I think if the Packers are aggressive, they can get some good players, Ayuk, Metcalf, something like that. Even maybe make a run at T. Higgins. I know that the Packers are a little cheap, kind of like the Steelers a little bit, but maybe they can spend some money, get elite playmakers and not just a bunch of dudes that they have right now.
Okay, so Cody mentioned the Packers, and I'm going to say something before we move on to Jackson. I honestly, when we brought up Garrett Wilson, that kind of sparked my whole research on this topic. So I thought that Garrett Wilson, his potential was capped because Rodgers liked to pay more attention to his pals, Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard, right? We all know that. So I think that New York is probably going to cut both Adams and Lazard. I think that it makes it harder to trade Wilson because there won't be anything left in the wide receiver room. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. I'm going to move on to Jackson. What do you think about this topic?
I mean, I think that's a very interesting idea you've got there with, cutting some guys that are definitely going to be trying to get out anyway. I don't know what kind of value they can get for Devontae and Alan Lazard. It's very contentious with just the production that they were given, considering how bad the total offense was last year, of course. For me, if you wanted to give some sort of synopsis of what my takes are tonight, it's all about very contentious homecomings. So I think that the Bills here are looking to get a receiver, and I think that now this guy can return as a wide receiver 1, and he's obviously shown that he can't really take that wide receiver 2 status. I think that Diggs could come back. I'm
a Bills fan, man. It ain't happening.
I think that it's a cancerous situation that the Bills have typically been very good in their GM moves, but they can get him for very cheap just because he was there for so short and obviously didn't get the production he wanted with the injuries and the production of Nico and the guys around him. Obviously a very cold take. I think if it happens, you guys can, of course, pay your tributes back, but it's one of those very, very unlikely situations to happen.
Okay, Mr. Tulox, what did you have to say about what Jackson said, and do you have
Yeah,
anything to add on?
yeah, man. Like I said, if Allen didn't have such a good year this year, maybe they'd be like, okay, he needs a solidified wide receiver one. But he showed he can do it with anybody out there. He had Mac Hollins, Keon Coleman, and Khalil Shakir. So I'm sure they'll try to get him a number one receiver, but if he doesn't, it just doesn't happen. Sort of like Lamar Jackson. You know, they believe in him so much they don't really feel the need to go get a wide receiver one. But for me, yeah, yeah, exactly. But for me, I would say the Saints got to shake up something here. I mean, it's the experiment is over. Kamara, either get off him or do something with him. Chris Olave had like 8 concussions in 2 years. You either get off him or you do something with him. Rashid Shaheed, you can capitalize off of him. You got to shake something up somewhere. Even some guys on the defense, Tyrann Mathieu, Cameron Jordan, you got to shake it up. You can't come bring this whole roster back and think you're going to be competitive. It's a failure. Get reshape it, do something. Yeah, start over.
I'll
Okay.
say that I was just in Tampa Bay last weekend, and Alvin Kamara was seen making his rounds around. Now, I know that he's got family there, so that's a little bit too much speculation to throw on anything. But, he's known to enjoy his time in the Tampa Bay area. And if they need to move him on, maybe they do him right and move him near family.
In division, though, man, that'd be interesting.
Not at all.
Yeah, not in the division. I don't
But
know
they also
about that.
just re-signed
But I would
him
like
to a
that.
2-year deal, though. So
Yeah.
now that he's going to have
That's
fresh
fair.
money.
Yeah.
So that's going to be tough.
Sure. I kind of like
Okay.
Tampa
Just spinning it at the
too.
bars in Tampa.
Yeah, I like that.
Hey, not a bad
Kamara
place to be.
and
Yeah.
Kamara and Bucky would be a nice duo. It would be.
Hey, Rashad White he's gone, huh?
Yeah, get him out of here.
Yeah.
No need for Rashad White.
Okay, CJ, last but not least.
Real quick, if you're talking about reunions, how about let's go back home and let's go Stephon Diggs to DC. How about that? Maryland Terp. Or if that doesn't work, I could see a reunion between Christian Kirk and Cliff Kingsbury in DC, which would be a fun pairing to be that wide receiver 3 with Terry, Debo, and whoever, Stephon Diggs or Christian Kirk, making Jalen Daniels look like the MVP that he already is.
Okay, so the last subtopic before we move on to segment 3, which is obviously the GOAT debate. We're going to talk about veterans in danger of being released or traded now. Okay, you guys are going to laugh at me, but I'm going to say this anyways because this is a very unpopular opinion that I'm about to say. You guys mentioned that Travis Kelce was getting old, right? So, what happens if he gets cut? I'm just saying. Okay, it opens up a lot of cap space. Okay,
I think about $17 million.
Yeah, right. So, and obviously he's caught a lot of important catches in the postseason, but his regular performance was bad last
His
year.
biggest catch was Taylor Swift.
Yeah, there you
There we
go.
go.
Facts.
It doesn't count. Doesn't count, guys. Doesn't count.
Facts.
But obviously, yeah. And then obviously, if you want to talk about stats, he ranked 38 out of 49 qualifying tight ends to receive a DVOA. So that's pretty bad. And he ranked dead last among tight ends in the ESPN receiver tracking metrics. So there you go. I don't know. I'm just saying. I know it's a very unpopular opinion, but I can't make a case for it. Yeah.
Can I say that I agree with you? Because this is the greatest draft to possibly draft a tight end.
Yeah. Great.
Because of the tight end depth is so deep. You could get, by their pick, they could probably still get like tight end 3.
Yeah.
Whoever you think that is.
Right.
Right. And it's still a starting caliber tight end. You can even get that in the second round.
Yeah.
And even if you don't cut him, you can have that slow transition.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That slow transition of bringing them in slowly and developing him.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't hate that at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't hate it either. I just don't know if I think if you cut him, he probably just retires, or if you trade him, he probably just does what Gronk did, just retires.
Right.
I just don't see him playing for anybody else. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea because his production in the regular season was not good. And then he was bad in the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl. Like he was he was non-existent. So
exactly.
yeah, I don't hate it, but
Yeah.
it would be crazy. I would be shocked to see that though.
Okay.
Very shocked.
Yeah.
He's not feeling 22 anymore.
No, not at all. Good one. Anyways, Mr. Tulox, what do you think about the veterans that are in danger of being cut or released?
Oh man, I got two of them. Well, these are not players that might get cut or released, but I say maybe they're on new teams next year. But Michael Myers, the tight end from the Raiders. Brock Bowers, he took over that spot, man. That's his house.
Georgia
That's his
legend.
home. Yeah, he got his feet on the couch. And I don't think there's a lot of room. I mean, they can have two tight ends, but I'm sure someone could use Michael Myers as they tight end one. So, and then the second one, this is just a like scenario in my head, but I would like to see Calvin Ridley on a new team, but I doubt it will happen because they got the first pick. They might get a quarterback and rock out, but I would like to see Calvin Ridley on a new team.
Cornerback.
Or receiver / cornerback, whatever they're going to do.
Little Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move on to CJ. Who in the veteran department is going to be cut or released anytime soon?
That's a good question. The Michael Meyer one is interesting. Like he did kind of get Josh Rosen a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
So, which is a little rough. I'm a little blanking here. I'm probably going to say. Actually, I don't know. I don't think I have anyone. You can
really?
Yeah, I'm trying to I'm Josh Allen,
hard.
not Josh. Jonathan Allen would probably be surprised. After this is last year of his deal with the Commanders, so no needing, especially drafting Johnny Newton last year in the second round for the Commanders. So it's kind of like you got your replacement there. So let's kind of keep going.
Okay.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I have one more person to be cut. One more person to be cut for sure. I think Miles Sanders, because there's no need for that guy.
Oh,
there's no need for that guy.
I haven't heard that name in a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. But yes, I just wanted to put that out there. Now, go ahead.
Okay, Jackson, what do you think about the veterans being cut or released? Who do you have in your mind?
I would say the only thing going on with the Miles Sanders stuff, obviously they don't need him there. He's not going to add enough to change their performance on the field. But unfortunately, they've as much as they want to buy all in on their rookie running back, the injury history is horrific. He's injured again right now. Could potentially miss the entire season. It's looking bleak. Maybe they keep him around to have a sound running back option, but it's not like they're looking to contend this year. So it would be tough to see if they got rid of Sanders, what they do at the running back position. I think drafting it would be a little odd. They have so many other needs. And of course, the dialogue around the running back position right now is that, there's a high replaceability. Unfortunately, I don't know where they find a replacement for, their gap in their running back room at the moment. It's absolutely absurd that the Michael Myers thing was something that I thought was going to go under the radar and fall to me to mention, but it's a fantastic call. I agree 100%. Josh Rosen is the best way to put it. He is a talented tight end that would make another organization very happy. And the Raiders found gold at Brock Bowers. And so they're not gonna keep him around. They can probably get value for him. A young, active, pass catching, very good blocking tight end is so valuable. I think that someone will find a lot of value in him, and they'll move him. I know he's not a veteran or a free agent, but I think that he's someone that could be on the move, and whoever gets him will be very happy.
Okay, and Cody, who do you think in the veteran department is going to be cut or released anytime soon?
Maybe not cut or release, but I do have some of these guys maybe getting traded. I think Jair Alexander for the Packers, I think has a good chance of getting traded. Still has some value in corners. There's not a lot of great corners out there, and I think he's still like an upper tier corner. Cam Jordan, I think he could get traded or maybe cut. He's been there so long, so I don't know if they cut him. So I think they try to look for a trade. And then I think Kirk Cousins gets cut, but I think that one's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
He gets cut. Yeah.
Surprised nobody said that yet. Okay.
I think it was just too obvious. Like, I don't know why they didn't keep him, but I mean, he's going to get a ton of money either way.
His contract stinks.
Yeah.
He's got no trade value because of that contract, so I think they have no choice but to cut him.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we are moving on to the third segment and almost the last segment. We are talking about the NFL debate: Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady. Who is the real GOAT? Okay, so We talked about this in the chat. We kind of went and said who we're going to go for in terms of the quarterbacks. And we're going to start with opening arguments. So, Mr. Tulox, you're up first.
Man, I only got one thing to say. I don't really need no data. I watched this guy play all my life. I'm going with Tom Brady. He's just one of those guys. I don't care what the score is, what the time is. If there's 1 second left on the clock, he got a chance to win still. So I'm going with Tom Brady. I'm going with the eye test here. And like I said, he got 7 rings. Come on, man. I feel like I don't have to explain this that much, but it just he always had a chance to win when you watch Tom Brady. So that's all I really got to say on that.
Okay, and CJ, I know you're backing another quarterback, and his name is Patrick Mahomes. So why don't you open up with your arguments?
Patrick Mahomes is a quarterback that is outstanding by himself. He showed his talent has been raved through and can carry a team at an earlier age than being a team that's carried him from a younger age. And from what Patrick Mahomes has done so fast by himself, he's already the young GOAT. And he's just going to keep growing into a strong Billy Goat.
Okay.
Strong Billy Goat.
Okay, Mr. Cody, who are you backing, and what are your opening arguments?
As you can see behind me, I'm a little biased when it comes to this conversation, but
Hey.
but I mean, I have to go with Brady. I mean, I think there's a couple of reasons. I mean, he's 2-0 against Mahomes in the playoffs, both in the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl, and he did that while he was in his 40s. So it's like I feel like that's kind of a hard argument to beat there. And then Mahomes has played half the Super Bowl games that Brady's played in and already has more interceptions in Super Bowls. Has been blown out twice. So I feel like Mahomes, I think the conversation's on pause a little bit for me right now. I think he might be able to get it back open in the future. But I think right now the conversation's on pause, especially after that game. And the last 2 seasons, I know that they've been in the Super Bowl both years, but statistically, Mahomes hasn't had great seasons the last 2 years. And so I feel like there's just too much in Brady's way right now. That maybe this is a conversation 5-10 years down the road, but right now I just think this conversation's on pause. I think what happened in Mahomes in the Super Bowl and the fact that he's lost to Brady twice in the playoffs, I just don't think. And does he even get to 6? He's only at 3. That's gonna be tough.
Okay, and last but not least, Jackson, who are you backing, and what are your opening arguments?
Yeah, I'm going to have to keep my voice down. As I said at the very beginning of this, I live in Boston, Massachusetts, and I think I'm going to say something that might result in a brick through my window. Luckily, I'm on the 5th floor, so it had to be a strong arm. So unless Tom Brady's outside, I think we might be in the clear. But I think that I'm going to kind of take from a couple of the opinions here and just say that as far as if you wanted to pick a GOAT right now, it's not a conversation that favors Mahomes, but I'm going to give Mahomes a projection down the road of finally surpassing Brady. I think that talking about how he's 3 Super Bowls short with the amount of time that he has in a sport that now favors the quarterback position and their longevity with how protected they are, thanks to Tom Brady, of course. I think that he's got all the time in the world and all the stats right now to show that he's got the trajectory. And I'm glad that, Cody, you brought up the past game and how it influences his legacy right now. I really think that it's going to cause some recency bias in the GOAT debate. I think that a bad game like that isn't going to be shrugged off easily. And I think a lot of people are going to discredit, the greatness that's involved in winning games when maybe your stats aren't perfect. Because I think that...
Oh, no, is he frozen?
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry. We'll get him when he comes back.
I think the Boston fans have got to him, but I'll help
Yeah.
finish
They cut his internet. Yep.
I'll help finish his statement of the fact that this is one stat right here, right? Brady and Mahomes had a rivalry with the NFC East team. With Tom Brady, he's lost to that team both times in the Super Bowl. But the team against Patrick Mahomes played in the NFC East, the Eagles, he beat them 1 out of 2. Hey, you get one, you lose some, you win some. But at least Patrick Mahomes won one, okay? And unlike Tom Brady, he did not win against Eli Manning. That's all I want to say. That's damning enough.
I would say he's beating the Eagles in the Super Bowl, though. I know he didn't beat him last time, but he beat him the first time. I don't know. I feel like It's a weird comparison because the Giants are just a different team. And once you saw the Giants get their full defensive line, like the Eagles get their full
was
defensive
crazy.
line, like the Giants did against Brady, they did
Yes.
the same thing the Mahomes, the Eagles did.
Yes.
So
They did.
Yeah, that's tough call. Like I said, I think this could happen down the road. I just don't think it's a conversation right now.
Yeah, like I said, Cody, I think it can happen down the road too, man. But it's just, you know what? I find it very hard that Mahomes is going to get to the 5 or 6 because you got Lamar Jackson who's still young, man. And I know Mahomes has been their daddy the last few years, but
He has.
who knows if that trend is going to continue? You know what I'm saying? So you got Lamar Jackson with a good team now. You got Josh Allen looking like Superman. You got Joe Burrow with chasing them guys, and then not to mention you got CJ Stroud on the way up. I mean, I just see it's a lot of competition in the AFC now.
There's a lot of competition. Josh Allen played like Superman in the regular season, but when it came to playing Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, he played like Jane. Okay,
I get it.
Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT, right? Patrick Mahomes has done single-handedly winning MVPs and all pros in his first 5 years compared to Tom Brady, which Tom Brady did not do either of those things, showing how great he was at such a young age before, they really had that dominant defense that they've kind of had over the last couple of years.
Did Patrick Mahomes make the Pro Bowl this year?
No.
I don't think so.
Not this year.
No.
But he's also won MVPs. I'm talking about the first 5 years between Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. MVPs and all pros, not the fake Pro Bowl awards that we give out. Patrick Mahomes had way more than Tom Brady. And what are we doing here?
I think if you go early on, their first 5 years, Mahomes is better than Brady, but can he play 20, 22 years and be great even in that 21st and 22nd year like Brady was? I just don't know. Because
we don't know. We don't know.
That'll be a big question.
We're going to start to get into the LeBron Michael Jordan things, right? LeBron playing for 22 years, the longevity he did, but then people still consider Michael Jordan to go. Michael Jordan equals Patrick Mahomes, okay?
I don't know because Michael had the ring and Brady's got the rings and the stats, so it's it's a little hard. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Jackson. Before you cut off, we were just joking, saying that the Boston fans finally got to your internet. So, what did you have to say to back Mahomes as the GOAT?
Yeah, I do believe that the Pats fans yanked my internet out. Truly just shot out, and
it was me and Cody. I'm sorry, no, I'm kidding.
I think that if Starry Internet wanted to make a statement, I'm sure they would say that they back Brady and that they need to cut my platform here. But yeah, I mean, I was going to bring the LeBron and Jordan conversation into this and say that I think that if I say my personal stance on it, I've held on to the Michael Jordan thing for too long. I'm a Tar Heel, and that makes me a Michael Jordan believer. But I've held on to it for so long that old-headed opinion really bites me now because LeBron has just proved again and again that we're not that late. However, I feel like knowing me that I'll hold on to Brady too long when it'll come time to admit that Mahomes has surpassed him, and it'll only be the stubborn ones that are holding on to Brady.
Okay, guys. So I agree with both your points for both the GOATs, but obviously, as Cody said, I'm a Pats fan. I do think Brady's the GOAT, but here's the thing. I have some stats to bring that up, okay? So, key games, okay? 2018, the Patriots beat the Chiefs 43-40. Okay, we all know that game. 2019, AFC Championship. The Patriots beat the Chiefs 37-31. 2020, Chiefs beat the Buccaneers 27-24. Super Bowl 55, Buccaneers beat the Chiefs 31-9. And then 2022, Chiefs beat the Buccaneers 41-31. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I think that Brady is the GOAT. But everything that you guys said, I totally agree with. I don't know if we made a decision here, but at least we both have points that say that either one of them can be the GOAT. So we are gonna wrap this up because it is 9:01 p.m. Eastern time right now, and we are gonna talk about final takes and closing. So does anybody have any comments that they want to make on either of the segments? Whether it's the GOAT debate, whether it's the free agency talk, or whether it's the icebreaker topic.
I'd like to just go ahead and say that there's a team that we discussed that has a whole lot of needs that, is really not in a fantastic place at the moment, but they're my prediction for the biggest jump this year, and that's the New York Giants. I think that a lot rides
Oh,
on
what in the world? What?
I think that now that is not. I am not saying that they are a Super Bowl or a playoff or any of those things, but I say they make the biggest stride forward based on their quarterback selection. I think that they have a lot of potential to select someone that changes the culture, as has been said. But I think there's a lot of potential, of course, to take a quarterback that they regret, right? There's talks that they could take someone like Aaron Rodgers or Sam Darnold that potentially, could play out well or could tank them. But also, we're putting a whole lot of trust in rookie quarterbacks because of the rookie quarterbacks of years past, right? Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud, some very successful stories. That's never a guarantee. This was not the model just a couple of years ago. So I think that a lot of faith in a rookie quarterback could fight the Giants as much as we all think it might. But I think a guy like Cam Ward, or Shador, but I'm more of a Cam Ward believer in this realm, could really turn that program around and cause a large jump up. I'm not saying that they're going to be, a contender by any means, just given there's too many gaps to fill in one off season.
Okay, guys, what if I told you that I think the Commanders have a good chance next year? What do you guys
I got more faith in the Commanders than the Giants.
Yeah, for sure.
As a Commanders fan, I wholeheartedly agree with you. But the fact that we still have 28 free agents right now on the roster, so we don't really have a roster to believe in right now. But yeah, I think we're going to do great things, because our coaching led us through all the way. So.
Okay, so as I said in the beginning, this show, From the Sidelines, headlines and is live on Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can find the show on Sports Fluent YouTube, their Facebook, and their X profiles. You can see that live as we are live right now. You guys, I don't know if you guys can see the top of it, but I have everything ticked off that is live. Anyways, does anyone have anything else to say before we log off for the night and then get to next week?
Yeah. So I got lucky last year, man. I placed a bet on Hard Rock, right? That the Eagles beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It was plus 6,000.
Oh.
I put like $20 on it, won like 2,000. But I'm just like, if your guys have any, like, I don't know, we're gonna talk about this in the next show, but an early Super Bowl like prediction. I mean, maybe that would be nice.
Nice little teaser for next episode.
I think we should.
All right. Okay. There we go. All right. Nice little teaser. We'll save it.
There you go, guys. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for listening from YouTube, Facebook page, or X. We are going to be live next week on Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern. And here we go. Guys, say bye before we go. Bye, guys.
Peace.
You guys.
Peace.
Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit. Drink water. Don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing. Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.